water, which has its origin in the foot wash of Lord Vishnu. In the Haribhakti Vilas by Sanatana Goswami, it is said that anyone who puts the Supreme Lord and the demigods, including Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, on the same level, at once becomes a Pashandi or atheist. We should never consider that the Supreme Lord Vishnu and the demigods are on equal footing. Another significant point of this verse is that the mind of the conditioned soul, on account of its association with the material energy from time immemorial, contains heaps of dirt in the form of desires to load it over material nature. This dirt is like a mountain, but a mountain can be shattered when hit by a thunderbolt. Meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord acts like a thunderbolt on the mountain of dirt in the mind of the yogi. If a yogi wants to shatter the mountain of dirt in his mind, he should concentrate on the lotus feet of the Lord and not imagine something void or impersonal. Because the dirt has accumulated like a solid mountain, one must meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord for quite a long time. For one who is accustomed to thinking of the lotus feet of the Lord constantly, however, it is a different matter. The devotees are so fixed on the lotus feet of the Lord that they do not think of anything else. Those who practice the yoga system must meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord for a long time after following the regulative principles and thereby controlling the senses. So this is important. Those who practice the yoga system must meditate on the lotus of the Lord for a long time after following the regulative principles and thereby controlling the senses. It is specifically mentioned here, Bhagavatas Charana Arvindam. One has to think of the lotus of the Lord. The Mayavadis imagine that one can think of the lotus of the Lord, of Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma or the goddesses Durga or achieve liberation, to achieve liberation. But this is not so. Bhagavat is specifically mentioned. Bhagavat means of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, and no one else. Another significant phrase in this verse is Shiva, Shivo, Bhut. By his constitutional position, Lord Shiva is always great and auspicious. But since he has accepted on his head the Ganges water, which emanated from the lotus feet of the Lord, he has become even more auspicious and important. The stress is on the lotus feet of the Lord. A relationship with the lotus feet of the Lord can even enhance the importance of Lord Shiva, what to speak of other ordinary living entities. Om Jnanatimandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaham Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jatapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavapcha Shri Rupam Sagar Jatam Sahagana Raghunatham Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sangitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padahan Sahagana Dalita Shri Vishakha Amitamcha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate. Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari. Vanchikalpataruve Akshakripa Sindhu Vyaja Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gauram Bhakta. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram. So we welcome all the devotees for connecting early morning on this call discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3. Chapter 28, our Lord Kapaladev giving instructions to Mother Devahuti on executing the devotional services. And in this particular sequence of verses, Lord Kapala is explaining about how devotee, yogi, how he meditates on Lord Krishna's form, Archa Vigra. And from the last verse from yesterday, the devotee starts meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord. That's the beginning. Lotus feet of the Lord. And those lotus feet are glorified. Why to meditate? Because they're very auspicious. Because they're Lord's lotus feet. Not our lotus feet, Lord's lotus feet. All the limbs of the Lord's are auspicious. Because they're not made of material elements, made of spiritual elements, all Shuddha Sattva. So Lord's lotus feet, we will discuss a little bit more but here stress is also given that for a long time, the word used is chiram, dhyayate chiram bhagavatas charanarvindam. Those lotus feet, devotee meditate on the Lord's lotus feet, bhagavatas charanarvindam, not anybody else's lotus feet. For how long? Chiram, long time. They meditate. Why? Because the lotus feet, even though they're soft like a lotus, lotus is very soft, rose, lotus, very soft. They're very soft, but they can act like a thunderbolt. Tirthena murdhani. Dhyayatur manha shamla shaila nishrist vajram. Vajram is thunderbolt. They can act, the lotus feet can act like a thunderbolt to cut the mountain of sins in our hearts. Because Lord is merciful, He is concerned about His devotee who meditates on His lotus feet. And when Lord sees that our heart is filled with mountain of sinful desires, then that mountain has to be crushed by the Lord. And to crush the mountain, you need a thunderbolt. So His lotus feet can act like a thunderbolt. Vajram. And those lotus feet are glorified in this verse from the reference point of how Lord Shiva, He becomes most auspicious. Shiva, Shivo Bhut, because He takes on His head the Ganges that's coming from the lotus feet of the Lord. Lord Shiva becomes, Srila Prabhupada writes here in the purport, he's already important and auspicious, but he becomes more auspicious and important, Lord Shiva, because he's ready to um, to take the water of the Ganges, which would not be able to fall on the earth because of the great pressure of the water. It will pierce the earth. So Lord Shiva agrees to take on his head. So this the 3 paragraphs of purports, but we spoke a little bit on that. I would like to focus few minutes now. We have few minutes on this one particular point. Srila Prabhupada writes it beautifully. This dirt is like a mountain, but a mountain can be shattered when hit by a thunderbolt. So, what it means to meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord. These verses are, at least this verse and the last verse, they're guiding us to meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord. For a long time. So lotus feet of the Lord are very auspicious. For us, we also have feet. Conditioned souls have feet. Lord has feet. Now our feet are considered very unauspicious, dirty, because we walk around with these feet. We go to bathroom with these feet. We walk around in the dirt. We put shoes, but they're dirty. So one of the dirty part of the body is our feet. But Lord Lotus feet are very auspicious. So that's one of the key reasons that why this lotus feet, we are told, the conditioned souls are told that you worship the lotus feet of the Lord. Because in our mind, our feet are dirty. When we also bow down, even when we bow down to our seniors, it starts with our seniors, or starts with our parents, or starts with our uncles and aunties and grandparents. When we want to give them utmost respect, we touch their feet. Because we feel that that I am humbling myself to take the dust off your feet. I'm humbling myself to take instructions from you, my father, my mother, my grandparents, my senior devotees. That's the idea. I'm humbling myself to take the dust of your feet on my head. But technically, so there is a gesture of going down and touching the feet. That's the gesture, that's a physical, something tangible. But subtle part is that my grandparents, my parents, I am okay to take instructions from you. If you say something, I will try to execute sincerely. So similarly, if you extend that rational logic to the lotus feet of the Lord, it's even million times, gazillion times more meaningful and significant that we follow the instructions of the Lord. Meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord for a long time for Chiram means following his instructions. And what we get by following instructions, we get his blessings. And again, that's not just a subtle part that we get his blessings, but even on the physical level, it's explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, I believe, Canto 11. Lotus feet of the Lord has signs. One of the signs is a trident, triangle actually, kind of thing, and a trident. So trident signifies three modes that resides at the lotus feet of the Lord, which means Lord controls the three modes. And our papas, our sinful desires, our sinful propensities, our sinful proclivities, they are actually coming in association with the three modes. Many times we don't want to do any sinful activity, but the three modes are pushing us. But Lord controls the three modes under his feet as those three prongs the trident. So when we meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord, which means when we follow the instructions of the Lords and the gurus and the senior devotees, then we get the blessings of the Lord by which we can be spared by the three modes of the mix. The pushing and pulling by the three modes can be reduced only by the blessings of the Lord. That what in practice that what it means. And if we meditate for long enough, chiram, on the lotus of the Lord, that means we are following his instructions for a long time. Not for a day, not for a week, not for one Sunday, not for months and years, not for one lifetime. It might mean many lifetimes for some of us. Following the instructions. And one technical example I can share, Ram Navami is coming. Now Ravana was great devotee of Lord Shiva. He was meditating on the lotus feet of Lord Shiva. And he got blessings from Lord Shiva to become very powerful. So he became very powerful. But we want to see that he was meditating on Lord Shiva, but did he follow the instructions of Lord Shiva? There is a disconnect. So one time, because he's a great devotee of Lord Shiva, he said, I want to go to Kailash to pay my pranam to Lord Shiva. So he goes to Kailash, and then Mother Parvati is feeling that Kailash is moving. The mountain Kailash is moving. So she asks to Lord Shiva, my dear husband, why Kailash is moving? Who is there? Who dares to move our abode? That's our abode. That's where we live. So Lord Shiva told Mother Parvati, my devotee Ravana has come. So some disturbance. So some devotees of Lord Shiva then asked Ravana, what's going on? We see you're entering into Kailash. What's going on? So Ravana said this. He said, I want to worship Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva sits on Kailash. So I thought I will move Kailash mountain on my head. Therefore, I can bring Lord Shiva on my head. And in that attempt, he is trying to move Kailash on his head. Now that's against Lord Shiva's instructions. That's against the instructions of the scriptures. That's against the instructions of the gurus. So here we see Shiva is a great devotee. He's trying to worship the lotus feet of Lord Shiva. Sorry, Ravana is a great devotee. Ravana is trying to worship the lotus feet of Lord Shiva, but not ready to bow down his head at the lotus feet of Lord Shiva. Ravana is not ready to bow down his head. Ravana wants to keep his head up, straight, and move Shiva on his head. So that example is given to actually properly understand what does actually it means to meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord for a long time. We follow Lord's instructions with great humility, thinking ourselves as the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord, and putting ourselves, our head down at the lotus feet of the Lord by following his instructions as he wants us to follow his instructions, not the way we want to follow his instructions. So that particular message, I particularly see in this particular verse, especially this second paragraph, where Srila Prabhupada writes, why after following, I think I highlighted, those who practice the yoga system must meditate on the lotus of the Lord for a long time after following the regulative principles and thereby controlling the senses. Srila Prabhupada becomes very, very practical. That's one of the beauty of Srila Prabhupada purports, that we will not be able to smell and see and get it from just the translation. Translation does not talk about this following the regulative principles and controlling the senses. But that's the crux of following, meditating on the lotus of the Lord, is following the regulative principles and controlling the senses. So that message we see very clearly that Lord Kapila is giving to Mother Devhuti, to all of us, what it means to meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord. So we'll stop here. Thank you very, very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vaishnav ki jai. Any one comment? We have a minute. Over to Madhupati Prabhu.
Thank you, and they continue. Powerful verse to meditate on the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, and Bhagavad Gita will learn from the lotus feet of devotees. to destroy the mountains of dirt in our mind. Jai. We'd like to wish you all a safe and Krishna conscious day ahead. And we'd like to offer our prayers to the Supreme Lord by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare,
Krishna, Krishna
Hare Rama, Rama,
Ram,
Rama, Hare
Ram,
Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Narsingho, Jai Narsingho, Jai Jai Narsingho, Praladesha, Jaya Padma Mukha, Padma Pringam, Ugravira Mahavishnu, Jvalantam
Jalantam
Sarvatomukam,
Sarvatomukam,
Narsingam, Vishwanam, Bhadram, Nitya, Nityam, Namiham, Narsingh Bhagwan ki Jai,
Jai,
Prahlad Maharaj ki Jai.
Jai.
Let's offer our humble obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas, Manchakalpataruvesya, Kripa
Panchakalpataruvasya
Sindhu Bhayavacha,
Bhaveta, Patitat
Patitaha Pavane Bhaya Vaishnavibhyo Namo
Vaishnavi
Namaha, Vaishnavinda ki Jai,
Jai,
ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय,
Jai,
प्रभुपाद की जय,
Jai.
गौर प्रेमानंदे।
Hari 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 Bol.
Yoginandan Prabhu.
Thank you everybody. Hari Bol. Hari
Hari
Krishna.
Bol, धन्यवाद, धन्यवाद।